the intro music. Yeah! Woohoo!
Galaxy Quest. It's coming to Star Trek Fleet Command. Yes, this is real. Yes, it's official. And yes, it's actually happening. In today's video, I kind of want to talk about it. Talk about what you think as a player and go over what this could mean for the game as a whole. And look, it's not Trek, but it is Star Trek in a sense. It's inspired by Star Trek. It's loved by Star Trek actors. And at the end of the day, I think that adding in things that are liked by Trek is okay because the things like the comics, everything have done it for a long time. So if you're asking my personal opinion, first get this part out of the way. Do I like Galaxy Quest? Yeah, I grew up watching it with my dad and loved it, and then ended up having the pretty cool experience of, watching Trek now as an adult and then having stuff for my children, which I'll talk about in a second. And as far as Galaxy Quest goes, well, even Patrick Stewart liked Galaxy Quest, and so did Jonathan Frakes. And here's a direct quote from what Patrick Stewart said about it. I'd originally not wanted to see Galaxy Quest because I had heard that it was making fun of Star Trek. And then Jonathan Frakes rang me up and said, "You must not miss this movie. See it on a Saturday night in a full theater." But that's a wild concept to me because I haven't seen full theater in a long time. Anyway, and I did, of course. I found it was brilliant. No one laughed louder or longer in the cinema than I did. The idea that the ship was saved and all of our heroes in the movie were saved simply by the fact that there were fans who did understand the scientific principles on which the ship worked was absolutely wonderful. And it was both funny and also touching that it paid tribute to the dedication of the fans. And that was from Patrick Stewart. And you can look it up on Snopes. He actually said it and believed it. So you have a history of, Star Trek and, various IPs being mixed together. If you've read any of the comments, Doctor Who is mixed in with Star Trek. So personally, I have no real issue with that at the core, as in I do like Galaxy Quest. But there's also the flip side of this. This is a Star Trek game, and there are Star Trek IPs that haven't even made it in yet. And I think that's worth mentioning. Don't worry, I'm going to mention many points, but Star Trek Prodigy, which season 2, arguably better than season 1, now on Netflix, is not in the game. And this is something that I personally am really excited about, and I hope the rest of the community is. I understand that it is directed towards a younger audience. If you aren't aware, it's directed more towards the preteen, teenager group of, future Trek fans. But that's good because my kids need Star Trek, and not every kid wants to grow up on the next generation. I'll be honest, if there was a Prodigy version of Trek when I was growing up, I would have liked it more. I made myself bigger just for the emphasis. I would have been even more into Trek. So I love stuff like this and want to see more of that in the game. I want to see Prodigy. And you can't tell me if you go after Galaxy Quest, you can't go after Prodigy. I think you can. And that's just one example. How about the idea that I shot the greatest Star Trek movie of all time, Wrath of Khan, actually using naval warfare tactics and three-dimensional warfare for an amazing fight scene. There are plenty of pieces of Star Trek that can go into this. But more than anything, what has to be answered is, how does this actually improve the game, right? That's what you ask for any piece of new content. Will this make the game better? And my concern is making new content just for the sake of new content with a new IP. Now, here's some things that we know, or at least things that I can share about Galaxy Quest Run. Number one, Galaxy Quest is going to be 40 plus content. Again, continue with the theme. Now, as we've talked before, I tend to be the content creator who deals with the average player the most. And the truth is, the average player is, still in the upper 30s, low 40s. That's kind of been that, critical mass for a long time. That doesn't mean that we don't have amazing players in the 50s and 60s and love them. But this is starting at 40 plus. And just to go ahead and give you a little bit of a warning, it starts at 40 plus. It's even higher up there. So it might be something where you're on the outside looking in. And as I always say, you should never upgrade your account. Like, don't rush to Ops 42 just for the sake of content. You will probably not enjoy it because it's just how this game is set up. You really need to be prepared, or what ends up happening is you're this 19 million power player at level 41 who can't do silence, can't do Zindi, can't do anything, and then probably not going to be able to do this at all. But what we can see here is we can see the ship. This is the NSEA Protector, or the NTE, which is hilarious. If you look at the registry mark on it, it's NTE, as in not the Enterprise. Again, this movie is directly related to Star Trek. It's like a distant multiverse cousin. And then you've also got the main antagonist from the movie in front of a Klingon insignia, which is quite curious. So we can see the ship, we can see the antagonist, and a couple of officers, maybe. So when we talk about Tim Allen and Alan Rickman, who, in my opinion, Alan Rickman, one of the greatest actors of all time, taken away from us way too soon. Do I have any issue with either one of them being added in the game? Not really, but it comes down to, again, will this improve the game? Does it make the game better? Does it fix issues? Does it speed up loops? Does it provide more materials, resources, rare ore, rare ship parts, all the things that players need? How is it going to improve the game instead of just being an IP that could be a potential cash cow? Does that make sense? Like, I'm not against Galaxy Quest coming into Star Trek Fleet Command, though I understand that there will be Star Trek purists out there who do. And I will say that if I had to just make a choice, like if I blindly got to be the one making the decisions, which clearly is not the case, would Rev have chosen Galaxy Quest over, say, Prodigy, or, maybe even more next generation stories, like going into the deeper characters that isn't a fifth Jean-Luc Picard, maybe going into the movies, which I've been harping on for a long time, like Wrath of Khan? Yeah, I would. But at the same time, I understand there's a lot of people in the Star Trek community who love things like Orville and Galaxy Quest that are directly inspired by Star Trek, and it does open up a lot of doors. At the end of the day, is this making the game better? And I don't necessarily have the answer to that. It's an open-ended question. In fact, what I did is I provided that open-ended question for you on YouTube. Real basic. I don't ask you to do anything crazy in terms of the poll, just yes or no. And as you can see, so far, I literally just put this up before even recording the video. 57 votes. It's on the community tab. So if you go to my YouTube channel, hit community, you'll see the little poll. I was just curious what people thought, and you can see their opinions there. So again, I don't necessarily think it's bad. I'm not opposed to it. I personally love Galaxy Quest, but I do have some issues. Number one, it's not for the average player because it is locked behind 40 plus. And we can talk all day about level up, and I know there are plenty of people out there who are trying to tell players to level up for the sake of leveling up, but truth is most players aren't ready to level up. I mean, if we go, for example, level 39, it's kind of like your creme de la creme. Shout out to the John Connors. Shout out to the Sugar Fat Mans. People in our community who are in that range. Well, at the upper end, yeah, those players are ready, but there are over 14,000 players here. So let's just say that we wanted to come on down to the bottom. The weakest is at 10 million power. You got 10s, 11s here. Your average player, the ones who are in the 7,000, 8,000 range, you know what they're doing? They're like 22 million power. They are not ready to level up. So that means that even just talking about people at 39, over half of them are not ready for the content above. And that's the tricky thing. When new content comes out, there are things that need to get fixed. The economy needs adjusting. Bugs and issues that happen need to be fixed and adjusted. All those have to be the focal points. And if Galaxy Quest brings all those, then I'll have nothing but thumbs up and happiness to say about it. If Galaxy Quest is nothing more than an IP brought in to, bring in those people like Rev who grew up with the movie, love that it ties to Star Trek, and get you to buy the, NSEA Protector, well, then I don't really feel like it's improving the game. It's simply adding in more content. And as we've seen has been the theme this year with the community, mo content ain't necessarily mo better. You need to have something that is improving the game. Mirror Universe, at least in my community, was not very well received. It does not mean everything was bad, but as a whole, again, most of the people who work and, play with me are players in the 30s and 40s. And I'm not truly trying to speak negatively of the game. I'm simply saying, like, if people are going to enjoy your content, they have to be able to participate in it, and then they have to like it. And if you have seen any of the surveys that we've done, I'll put this up on the board. Here is the marks that we've had for the past few months. Like, you'll see, and I'll actually make it bigger real quick. Bam, here's the grades for this year. So starting with January Enterprise, here's your quality versus quantity. You have yet to have a month where that was in the positive. We have definitely seen better stability based on your grading, right? This isn't my opinion. It's what, 2,000 people per poll are voting. Communications has gotten better, but look what you got here. I mean, most people in the red. We usually go by the swings. The swing is more positive versus negative votes. The swing says people aren't liking the Mirror Universe or the calendar for a whole 4 months in a row, and this month isn't looking any prettier. If Galaxy Quest can fix some of those issues, then I'm excited for it. I really am, because I'm okay with Star Trek inspired things. I love that Star Trek inspires. Hell, Star Trek inspired me. It's why I went into IT before becoming a content creator. And if it's good enough for Patrick Stewart, it's good enough for me. But only if it makes the game better. And I'm also very curious to see what you think out there in the Star Trek Fleet Command community. Are you excited about it? Are you looking forward to it? Do you love Galaxy Quest? Well, you know how this is going to go. You can probably already predict it. Put your comments in the comment section below and feel free to go participate in that poll that I made. Do you think this will help the game? Obviously, we don't know how exactly it's going to roll out. When I learned about this, a couple months ago, I was excited just for the nature of the IP. But at the same time, we cannot deny that this game has got a long way to go to get what many of us would say is back on track. And this is your opportunity as the players to voice it down below. Let me know what you think. Live long and plunder. Stay safe for the Space Cowboys. Deuces, that's me. If you want my advice, should you go up to 40 plus just for this content? You shouldn't go 40 plus for any content. You should play your game, enjoy your game, and you determine your progression. So hope you enjoyed. If you need any help, more than happy to be the guy that helps you. Hit me up on Facebook, Discord, Twitter, Reddit, etc. See you then.
An even better outro than the intro. For the Empire and glory to your house.